welcome back to 9 to 5 with Wangari. This is your host, Wangari, where we talk about all things in the workplace. Just want to say thanks to all my listeners and subscribers for, just listening and subscribing to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a really hot topic, microaggressions, and I'm joined with a returning guest. We know her as Aunty Sandy, but I'll just switch over to her to give a really quick introduction about who she is and what she does.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra, and I'm a counselling psychologist.
Cool. Yeah, so today, thanks for coming back again. It's always a pleasure having you. We're talking microaggressions in the workplace. I think this is a really interesting topic, especially with, COVID happened and like remote work opened up.
Yeah.
So we have opportunities to work with people from different countries, different cultures. Just people with like different ideas. And I feel like it's something that needs to be discussed. So I think we'll just start with, by definition, what is microaggressions? What is that?
Thanks, and I do agree. This is a topic that needs to be talked about. So microaggressions are like either non-verbal or verbal behaviors that are either consciously or unconsciously said or done with the aim of being derogatory or harmful to a marginalized group.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, just behaviors that that after the behaviors are done, it feels like they're harmful and derogatory to certain persons.
Yeah, but it's a tough one. As you said, they're verbal or non-verbal, so they're intentional or unintentional. So it's so hard to like pick up on like what exactly is a microaggression.
and you do also question.
Yeah.
Is it you being sensitive?
Exactly. Yeah.
Should it have been said? It actually it leaves you confused as an individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it would be good to just give us like what examples of what exactly a microaggression is. I know for me, for example, to be quite honest, I didn't actually know like the color of my skin and that I'm African until I moved to Australia. Then you realize, oh my God, I'm actually different. There's actually things that there's perceptions that are not the same as you. So it was it was quite interesting, and there was so many microaggressions from like I know. Just give us examples before I give an example.
And even as you say that, I'm just thinking about one of the microaggressions that anybody who's left Kenya to go to the Western world. You'll often be told by a lot of people that you speak such good English.
You're so articulate. You're
like, so articulate. You speak such good English. Where did you learn your English? And that one for me, even as just saying, being in Australia and feeling that you're different, that's the first thing you feel different. And we look at microaggressions. There's verbal microaggressions. You have
so like for example, you're so articulate.
You're so articulate.
Or you're so smart.
Yes. There's also environmental ones. So there's no diversity of gender or race or things like that. And I think the last one is behavioral. So you'll find that someone will do things unintentionally or intentionally to kind of make someone feel that they're different and things like that. When we look at some examples, like for instance, you may have being asked as a for instance, an African in a Western country, you're very articulate, you speak very good English.
But that also happens like in Nairobi as well.
It happens in Nairobi?
Yeah, sometimes, because you got to remember like there's just a lot of influence from the West. Companies
true.
are setting up here,
you're right. You're right. Yeah,
it trips your mind when it happens in the country you're from, but
yes, I actually didn't realize that. So you do have that form. There's a form where a female may advocate for something in a meeting, and then you find they're being told after that you're a bit aggressive in the meeting. There's one also which I think a lot of female doctors will identify with. Someone may feel that because you're female, you're the nurse and not the doctor. And then so those are some examples of microaggressions where you find that it's some of them may be unintentional, some intentional. And then I think one that, if you even look at the larger global context of where you have somebody working together, like people walking one direction and one coming another direction, and they cross the road. If it's someone of a certain ethnicity, crossing the road to avoid them and not come into contact to them. So that also is an example of a microaggression. So it could be done intentionally or unintentionally also. Yeah.
Yeah, like the one where you're saying they're walking. I know, like, sometimes, like, when you go into shops, especially like in the Western world, you have people following you around, and you're like, why stop following me?
Into Western places, I've already submitted complaints at some shops in Nairobi because you enter you enter a shop and you're followed, and it's even made me not stop going to supermarkets, and I'm like, you shouldn't. And one of the things even I say then is give people the benefit of doubt. Don't follow someone from aisle to aisle just because they are shopping for the month. I don't like to go every day to the shop, so I'll buy what I need for a month, and you find that you're being followed because you're doing that, and it really is harmful. It's harmful, and it really makes me upset.
I think, like, I saw this when I read about, like, microaggressions, because it's a very interesting topic. I saw this person, like, give this, like, analogy. It's like little paper cuts. And then, like, the little paper cuts that happen, and one is not too bad, but at some stage it does affect you. Like, you can get 100 paper cuts, and
and then you can't be able to use your
hands. It's quite you could get quite injured. So what happens? What would you advise if I've been, like, a victim of microaggression? Like, what especially, like, in the workplace, because this can happen, and sometimes you don't want to confront it, or what would you advise for someone who experiences, like, microaggression in the workplace?
I think there's many levels of how to address it, because like I said earlier, if you're the one who has been a victim of microaggression, you are very likely to be confused and be like, question yourself and doubt yourself. And I think the first thing I would say is for us, you validate yourself. You're not imagining. If something has been said, you're not imagining. And also, whatever someone has said to you does not define who you are. So that would be the first thing to do. And then you just be calm. And I think it's to let people know. Let people know that, when you say this, it makes me feel this way, so that they are aware of it. And that could go either two ways. You may have someone understanding and having empathy for what you've said, or someone saying you're too sensitive.
Oh, man.
Toughen it up, or, suck it up. And you hear a lot of that also.
You're lucky. You're privileged to be here. This is my country, not your country. This is my organization, not your organization.
So you do get people saying that. And I think, for me, I always look at it in terms of even organizational psychology. This is where, from a HR perspective, is looking at, does HR know what microaggression is? Are they able to identify microaggression? Do the policies incorporate microaggression so that we can really ensure that, no staff member is having to deal with this? Because it is confusing. And like you said, like a paper cut, it will impact your self-esteem. If you're not able to bounce back from that, then it really, like, leads to you having huge self-esteem issues, and even some mental health symptoms like anxiety. So it's actually something that needs to be tackled immediately.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about if you have been the one who's committed microaggression? Like, if you've said something and you realize, like, oh my God, that could have been microaggressive. I guess it also goes the other way. Like, how would that work? Because again, as you said, it's unintentional sometimes. You don't know.
I think it's hard, but I would say the first thing is when someone tells you, you've made me feel this way, it's not your decision as to
that's so true.
You're being sensitive or not. It's to acknowledge it and say, I'm sorry for that. And then go on the internet. And even if you don't have policies, if it's not being talked about in the workplace, go on the internet, read up about microaggressions, be more aware of your own biases, because we have a lot of biases, and these come either from, your family, your ethnicity, your parents. So it's to really be aware of these biases and to be really careful not to to be using your honest scope and lens, you know, like to really just be non-judgmental and accepting of everything and everyone. So I think that for me would be how, as the person committing the microaggression, those are the things you kind of should look at.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I guess my last question is, what should, as we talked about in the beginning, the workplace is changing. We're getting more multicultural, more diverse. We need to, just be able to accept, as you said, just different ideas, different people, different. What should workplaces be doing to kind of try and stop microaggressions?
Yeah, I think it's policies, because, you know, like you find a lot of organizations have diversity and inclusion departments, where you're talking about these things, you're defining things, you're training staff members so that they're aware. And by being aware, you're also letting them know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And also having, like, you know, persons who are really advocating for this on a regular basis, and if they see anything happening, they talk about it, they call it out, they look for a solution. So and even policies, you know, policies should have, you know, diversity and inclusion, so that everybody is aware from the time you're recruited up till you have a training, a follow-up training, that you are aware of these different concepts.
Cool. Awesome. That's a really great summary. Is there like any parting shots, any like last words about like microaggressions for the listeners and viewers?
For me, I would say that like I mentioned even when I was talking about the definition, you know, it's really about our own insights and being sensitive about what we say, and that's like such an important skill that I think everybody should try and build on, because it's not easy. Just being sensitive, being aware, being empathic to what you say always. And there's that famous quote that now I can't remember how it goes, about, you know, before you speak, think, is it true?
Is it true?
Yeah. So that's something that, you know, you actually do have to keep questioning yourself about that, so that you can make sure that you're not being hurtful. Because everybody is going through something right now, especially in these times of COVID. There's been so much mental health symptoms that we're seeing, and it's just really to always try and be kind.
Be kind.
To be kind, and
I love that.
When somebody says you made me feel this way, don't say, oh, you're being sensitive, like what most people would say. Just say, I'm sorry I did that.
And I'll try to do better.
That's what I would say as a parting shot.
That's a beautiful parting shot. I think she said it. The way to deal with microaggressions is be kind, be self-aware, be empathetic, and if you have been microaggressive to someone, say I'm sorry and apologize. So thanks for listening. Again, thank you, Aunty Sandy, for being here to talk about this like really sensitive topics. And just make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And would love to hear your thoughts on microaggressions. And if you've experienced it, you can always talk to like a psychologist about it. Awesome. Cool.
Thank you.
Bye.